Chicago was really the center of radio in the 1920s and the 1930s, even into the 40s a little bit. The biggest shows that came out of Chicago are household words today, 50, 60 years after the fact. Amos and Andy, Fibber McGee and Molly, The First Nighter, The Breakfast Club, Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy, and Ma Perkins, Oxidol's own Ma Perkins, America's mother of the airwaves. 3 of the greatest kid shows of all time came out of Chicago radio. We had Little Orphan Annie, we had Captain Midnight, and Jack Armstrong, the All-American Boy. Now, Orphan Annie was #1 in kids radio in the 1930s.
Da-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum. It's Orphan Annie time. Dum-da-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum. Who do you see? It's little Orphan Annie. Sandy, the dog, was portrayed by 3 people. Someone barked, someone growled, and I did the whining or crying. Try to sound like a dog. Annie was known for her expressions, Annieisms, such as, "Leaping lizards, come on, we gotta go, hurry up."
We used to romp home from school, and we'd listen to every program when we'd send away for Ovaltine mugs and rings that would glow in the dark that would turn your fingers green.
And then every week when the program came on, they give you these magic numbers, and then you could decode on your little decoder what these numbers were, and you'd find out a clue to what was going to happen next week. Oh man, big stuff.
If I could, I'd want to bring back the period of the radio. You imagine what they looked like, and you got to know them as friends, and they were part of your life.
That was the wonderful part of radio, the ability for the child to imagine.
The actors provided the sounds, the voices. The sound effects man gave us the sound. The musicians set the scenes, but the listener had to decorate the set and costume the actors, so we participated.
The family, I remember we used to sit around on Sunday and clean out the refrigerator or icebox, and we would sit around and listen to all the radio programming.
Rochester, did you use my car last night?
Well,
Rochester, I just found a bobby pin on the front seat.
a bobby pin?
Yeah. What are you laughing at?
There's only 2 of us here, and it ain't mine.
Jack Benny, Eddie Cantor.
My God, whoever missed Eddie Cantor.
Fibber McGee and Molly and all these programs that were...
Well, you got to know the people.
They were characters that you
actually became absolutely part of your family. And one man's family, you knew every one of one man's family. Paul and all of them.
Captain Midnight and Terry and the Pirates and the Lone Ranger.
Molly Goldberg, that was a wonderful, popular program.
What was it? Rosie, Sammy, and out loud the window. She'd lift the window up and call out.
Fibber McGee's closet.
You're sure it's in there?
Positive.
Okay, here I go. Gotta straighten out that closet one of these days.
So to this day, many of us our age, when we have a disorganized closet, we'll say, well, my God, there's another Fibber McGee's closet.
When we wanted to watch the radio programs, we would do the same thing that you do with TV today. Everybody would gather around and watch the program, and there would be no interruptions.
I got to the point where I hated anybody to come into our house to visit us because I couldn't look at the program.
You'd invite people over, man, and sit down and stare at the radio.
Well, of course, during the war, we would listen for news to see what was going on.
I remember very vividly hearing the speech of President Roosevelt when he said we were going to have to go to war because of those things that had occurred with Japan. I remember very vividly when he got on the radio and made those announcements, yes indeed.
The radio was our entertainment when we were home. I think the news and the music.
Late at night, usually after 10 o'clock at night, you could tune into all kinds of different radio stations and pick up the big dance bands from downtown Chicago. You'd listen to music from the Black Hawk restaurant or from the Congress Hotel.
They had broadcasts from most of the major hotels downtown. Certainly the old Stevens Hotel, which later became the Conrad Hilton, the Sherman House, the College Inn of the Sherman House or the Sherman Hotel, the Black Hawk restaurant was one of the biggest name makers for the bands in the country.
That's why they used to want to come in at union scale at the Black Hawk just to get the airtime.
It was great fun to be in on a big band broadcast. In fact, I remember my wife and I, she says, "Oh, don't push in so close, it's not nice." I said, "Come on, we'll be on the air." And then we'd cheer and holler and everything else, and then people would hear us, and I'll tell my friends who weren't there, I said, "Jeremy on the radio last night."
The main clubs for broadcasts in Chicago and locations were the Aragon and the Trianon. As a matter of fact, the whole country knew the Aragon and the Trianon because of the network pickups out of those ballrooms.
When you think of Chicago ballroom, you think of the Aragon and the Trianon, started by the Karsas brothers.